Okay, let us say our Shanti Part. Om Tvam Hina Pitavaso
ॐ त्वं हीनः पितावसो
Tvam Mata Shatakrato Babhuvitha
त्वं माता शतक्रतो बभूविथ
Adhate Sumnamimahe
अधा ते सुम्नमीमहे।
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
So first thing, Gauri had asked about Babu with her. I think what I had told was not right. I think I told you it is late, but it is actually lit, lit lakar, and it is madhyama and ek vachanam. But even though it is lit, which means paroksh bhut, it is actually used in the sense of late. No, what is the lut, in the sense of lut only. That is present tense. In the Vedas, most of the um, lakaras which are there, they are applicable either in the present tense lut or in ling, vidhi ling or ashi ling, as a command to you that you should laying down a vidhi that you should do it this way. So this one is in terms of is in present tense, that for us please be like this, oh God. Okay, so are there any questions from last time or any observations? Then we will cover the homework after that. Before the homework, is there anything special you found, or is there any doubt you have? No. Okay, so let us look at the Grey Karya. So, did you go and check with Prashnopanishad?
Yes.
Okay.
All the 16 kalas it gives, no?
Kalas, yeah.
Yeah. So, is it kala or kala?
Kala.
Kala.
Shodasha Kala. Yeah.
Oh, Shodasha kala. Huh? I was reading kala. I was wondering why the kala is coming.
Yeah.
Shodasha. I read it. Yeah. And basically, it says everything comes out of the Purusha, yeah, Brahman. To know that, we have to step by step and then go back to the Purusha itself. That is the crutch of the whole thing. It talks about it.
Okay. Anybody else wants to add to that?
Oh, the kala.
Go ahead, Shanta.
No, nothing.
Okay, Anuj and Ronak.
No, I don't have anything specific to add, Varya.
No, you have to tell me what is the connection between the two, between the Prashnopanishad and this Upanishad, between the Shodasha Kala, which are mentioned there and here. Raunak, did you have a look?
In the fourth verse of Prashnopanishad, there is no mention of Shodash Kala. There is mention of
No, this was 6-3.
6-4.
6-4, sorry, 6-4.
6-4.
Achha, I was referring the first chapter, fourth verse, wherein the prana and this.
No. I gave this thing also. Okay. Srividya, did you have a look at the homework?
I was also looking the wrong chapter is what I realized. I was looking in the fourth chapter.
Okay, so we have only Gauri who seems to have done our homework. Okay.
But one thing, Uttara, it is that beginning is the prana comes. From prana, it comes the shraddha. And from Shraddha comes all the 5 elements. And then Anna comes from Anna, that comes the strength, or it is called with strength or something else we can call.
Yeah, Virya, that is strength
Ah.
only. Yeah.
Okay. And then it says that food comes with the food, we get the energy. And that also, then also it says the same thing, strength. So that's why I'm confused about it.
Correct. So there is a mismatch between the two. So here, while we are saying that from this tapa of Brahma, the tapa of Akshara actually, this Brahma, the universe expands, and then first thing which is mentioned over here is Anna, and from Anna, Prana, Mana, Satya, Loka, karmas, and in karma, Sukh, Dukh, and Amrit is there. While in Prashnopanishad, if you look, then it says that God created prana first. And from prana, Shraddha, Kham, Vayu, Jyoti, Apa, that is the 5 elements, and the Indriyas and the Mana.
Indriyas
and,
also comes.
Anna.
And then Manas.
Anna, and from Anna then Virya, Tapa, Mantra, Karma, Loka is given. Okay, and after that Nam including Rupa as well. Here Nam and Rupa are given separately, but basically the implication is again after Anna. So
He
there is
says the
a
word is created, no? Lokeshu.
yeah.
Loka Lokeshu cha nama.
Yeah,
The
Nama
world is created.
Yeah, so Lokeshu cha Nama cha. So that extra cha stands for Roop as well. So Nam and Roop both are included, which are there now here in the ninth stanza. So the difference why the this is coming like this is because here in Mundak, actually you are looking at God creating the universe, while in Prashna we were looking at the soul creating this. So how was the soul creating all this? Soul does not really create. It was talking of the body. So in the body, the prana comes in first. Of course, some element of matter is also there, but the first thing which indicates that the soul has arrived in this body is the existence of prana. Actually, that is in the sperm itself. So that prana comes in first, and after that the zygote grows, while here we are looking actually at the creation of the universe. So if you go back and look at the commentary of Prashna, what I gave you, I had given you not only in terms of the Shodasha Kala of the Purusha, that is the soul, but also the Shodasha Kala which are applicable for God, which were not actually relevant in Prashnopanishad, but it is referred to in the Vedas, etc., as the Shodasha Kala of God. Really speaking, it is actually the Shodasha Kala of the universe. Okay. These are 16 aspects or facets of the universe. So here we are seeing not 16. All of them are not listed. Only a few are listed, while over there full the list of 16 had been given.
And where the Satyam comes, Satya.
Satya. Good, good. So Satya, which is there, is the equivalent of mantra over there. So if you see my commentary over there, I had told you that mantra is equal to knowledge. It is not Ved mantras over there, but it refers to knowledge. And the same thing I am telling you here, that Satya is equal to knowledge and not truth, and not the 5 elements as the commentators have given, who have actually referred to Prashnopanishad and given the 5 elements from there. But I will give a proof of why I am saying what I am saying. Uh, Still, I am sorry, but I will be actually taking deviations from the commentators further down as well. Okay, what we are going to study today over there as well.
And over there, did you say that Nam was the identity because it meant of the body? Or because now you
Language.
said it's language,
Language.
but in
There
Prashnopanishad,
also it is language and roop. Roop is form,
okay.
and Naam, while it is one is the identifier of a person, but it also refers to the language,
Language.
which is dependent on the yoni,
Okay.
the species into which you are born.
As we
And
can
one
say,
question.
Uttaraji as our philosopher and guide, she is identified like that. Nama.
Yeah, Uttara, I had one question.
Yeah.
This cosmogenesis is seen in so many texts, which I'm sure you would have studied in detail.
Mm-hmm.
Do they differ? Like in this case, since it differed, you explained now that one is talking about the creation itself, whereas the other one is talking about us or the soul and the body.
Yeah.
Are there such differences among other texts also?
In our Indian philosophy,
Yeah, whatever you have studied in depth.
yeah, in general, you will actually find all these things only being given as the origin. Little bit of difference here and there you will find, but otherwise, the fact that uh, these elements were created and the bodies came and you had life entering the bodies, that does remain the same.
Because from these Upanishads only later on people pick it up for so many other texts that have come to use.
Yeah, yeah.
In terms of verses, or I'm just referring to in Narayaniam when we read, there is also this how creation comes up. Like that in every of those, later on works of people, this is repeated, picked up from some Upanishad or some
Yeah, yeah.
earlier
Actually,
understanding.
the Upanishads are not scientific texts per se. Okay, so we cannot take them literally always, but they are correct in this sense. Like, for example, I've told you the why the difference is coming here. But if we look at it right as the origin of the universe, you have to go back to Sankhya only and read over there, which gives in detail, step by step, what arose out of what. This is a little bit more generic and little more fuzzy, if I may call it that. But in general, the steps which are given over here are correct. Sankhya, if you know, it stops at the creation of the elements. Okay, so you have the various Mahat and uh, Man and etc. The Jnanendriya and the Karmendriya, and you have the Panch Tanmatra and the Panch Mahabhut on the other side, which are created. After that, it stops. These are actually going beyond that, and they now start talking of Anna. So from once all the elements have been created, now they start forming compounds, which become food for living things. And once food is available, then living things automatically originate.
Thank
So
you.
this is also going beyond that. But in general, the composition, like mana, intelligence, and satya, knowledge, this is very, very common. So this knowledge is uniform and the same across Upanishads.
Thank you.
Okay, if there is no
And
further question.
I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
So then, so in that last time, that eighth verse,
Mm-hmm.
where did it actually, does it explain in this from where that, where does the creation start in this thing? I know we had done in Sankhya that it started from the beginning, like Vyakta. But here, does it indicate anywhere that where it starts from, or
So it is started from Anna over here.
Straight away.
So all the steps, yeah, from primordial
Those are all
matter
understood.
to Anna are all condensed,
Okay.
compacted.
Okay.
May I ask question?
Sure.
Yeah. So actually, I want to understand two things. First is the prana. So
Hmm.
is prana an element which is post Panchbhuta gets created, or it's something under the
So
control of
that is a
Ishvara?
very good question. And even I am, if you ask me, a little bit fuzzy on what is the nature of prana. So in the Swami Dayananda is mentioned in Satyar Prakash that it is part of the subtle body. Okay, and he instead of karmendriya, he has mentioned panch pran. So there is some equivalence which seems to exist between the karmendriya and panch pran, and you would also
Panchbhut.
expect it to be uh, connected because these karmendriyas are motive action oriented organs. So their force, their energy is coming through this prana. So prana seems to be part of the subtle body, which, like other anshas of the subtle body, it translates into this life force, which is just not breath. That is very important to understand. Even the movement of fluids in the cell is controlled by that prana. And that is why when the soul goes away and the prana leaves the body, each and every cell of the body dies.
So in the continuous context, prana, Ishwar is also called bhu, which is like pranadhar. So basically, pran is a separate element which is essentially controlled by Ishwar, not soul. Because we on our own self, we cannot, control how we breathe, how we digest food. It's just done by Ishwar. Is
So
it right?
those things like how we breathe and digest food and all, that part is actually like the laws of nature. So like you can say the law of gravity is controlled by God, and on the other hand, gravity, once he has created it, it moves by itself. You don't have to tinker particularly with it. I
Hmm.
told you last time that God does tinker with some of these forces to give you your karma phalas, but those that tinkering of his will never be obvious because it follows the natural process. So all these actions of prana, like when we are tired, then you have been running and you become out of breath, your prana will go up and down. So that has been inbuilt into the system, so it will happen to everybody. So it's not as if God is looking at you and saying, oh, this person ran and so I now need to increase the breath of this prana. It doesn't happen like that. But yes, the law, the initial thing has been put in by him, and when it enters into matter and when it leaves, that means the soul departs, which we say that the prana has left. That is determined by him and him alone. So he alone is controlling your life, your
Okay.
ayu, and your birth and your death.
Okay. So one last thing, in the Mundakopanishad, the Loka is get created after Satya, and
Mm-hmm.
in Prashnopanishad, the Loka is the kind of a last entity that a soul would create. So how, so God creating Loka is something which I understand, okay, like various
Mm-hmm.
habitats he is creating on earth, but how soul creates Loka?
So, Loka in that case is actually talking about the body. So, the body of which the soul wears is what is meant by the Loka over there. So, that body is determined by the soul depending on its karmas. That is how the soul determines its body.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Okay, so we'll move to the second khand. So I wanted to tell you that now, if you just look back, we have finished the first khand of the first Mundak. So if you now look back to the fifth stanza, where Angira had divided knowledge into two parts, para and apara. Now, after that, he has started on this description of akshara. So that is really speaking Brahma, the para knowledge which he has talked about. So para knowledge you can see divided into two parts. One is the knowledge uh, which you can acquire through books, through Vedas, through Upanishads, etc. And part of it is experiential, which the Guru gives you. One is directly through the Guru, and one part is which you yourself acquire through your meditations. And even your thought, when you sit and think about these things with a peaceful mind and with dedication, things will start opening up and revealing themselves to you. So that part is also part of para. But these four verses subsequently after the Kandika 5 are related to Paravidya. Now in this second section, the Dvitiya Khand of the Pratham Mundak, we will be first seeing Aparavidya, okay, worldly knowledge.
I
Okay.
have one question, Uttara.
Mhm.
Is it Brahman works through the Brahma, through the creator? Brahman works through the creator? That's why it's called Hiranyagarbha or Brahma.
In Vedantic philosophy, which you are referring to, no, a lot of these distinctions have been created, and a lot of unnecessary concepts have been created just to explain that very convoluted philosophy. When you see God as one, then things immediately simplify, and there it is all these distinctions between Ishvara, Brahma, this, that, Shiva, Shakti, all those Narayan and something, I don't know how many subdivisions are there and what all each one characterizes. But God is one. And here I am not saying Brahma specifically, because Brahma in particularly the last
Creator.
two things has not been used for God. It has been used for the universe.
Okay.
In both of these, tapasa chiyate Brahma. Brahma refers to the universe, and it's saying that by the tapa of that akshara, because throughout, if you notice, Brahma has not been used, and Angira has used akshara, is the word which has been used by Angira. So Brahma, which is there, which occurs in Kandika number 8 and 9, in both of them it means universe. So I told you that commentators have taken in 8, they have taken it to mean God, and they have said by his tapa he expands. Firstly, he cannot expand. He is constant in his whatever you can call his dimension, though it is not really a dimension. So he cannot expand. So it is not applicable. Even if you take it as a poetic license and something is being mentioned poetically, in the second one they have not been able to take it, because tasmat etat brahma jayate. So from that this Brahma is born. Then now which Brahma is this? If from Brahma we take this Brahma is born, then which Brahma is this? So they've had to say that this Brahma is the universe. So then you have to take it even in the 8th. It does mean universe only. It is by his tapa this universe expands, and it's actually showing the expansion of the universe, which again is not very well known to commentators. The original commentators, they have not heard of the Big Bang, and then don't correlate modern science with the Upanishads.
No, in that way, in our dream state, we also create the world, no?
That is the dream world, yes.
Yeah. So ultimately, that's what the say is.
So, Gauri, if you now want to get into that Vedantic concept, you have to go to Sankhya and see the retorts.
You please
Which,
do come and give the talk here.
sure, that is better, because Kapila is cut one by one all those knots which the Vedantis have created about the dream world and Upadhi and all those nonsense, this Mathakash and Ghatakash and all that. Okay. So now, Dvitiya Khand. Tadetat, please repeat after me. Tadetat satyam mantreshu
Tadetat satyam mantreshu
Teshu
karmani kavayo
karmani
karmavayo
yanyapashyanstani
yani
yanyapashyanstani
tretayam bahudha santatani
tretayam
Tretayam
bahuda
Bhagavatasatani
santatani
tanyachartha niyatam
tanyacharatha niyatam
satyakama esha vah pantha
satyakama esha vapanta
sukritasya loke.
sukritasya loke.
Okay, so tadetat satyam mantreshu. So this tadetat satyam has been taken to mean that now what I am going to tell you is the truth. But actually, if we take the satya which was mentioned in the eighth as knowledge, then that comes and fits over here also. What I was telling you that today I will prove to you. So here he is saying that satya which I told you in the previous kandika, previous to previous kandika, that is to be found in the Ved mantras. Okay, and that consists of karmas which have been laid down in the Ved mantras, which the kavis, that means people who have gone beyond the, a normal person can see so far, but a learned person can see far beyond, just like Einstein could see relativity which other scientists could not see. So that kind of a person who is able to see beyond other people, who is a very learned and visionary person, that is called a kavi, even a rishi. So same synonyms. So this that was seen by the kavis in the Ved mantras, that those karmas are spread in Treta. Treta means the three forms of Vedic knowledge, which I will just tell you. They are described in great detail in Bahudha, in many ways. It has been described. That means a lot of the karmas of the human life are described in the Vedas. Tani acharatha nityam. He satyakama. O you who are desirous of attaining knowledge, who are desirous of knowledge, you should follow those karmas diligently. Niyatam. Esha vah panthaha sukritasya. एषः वह सुकृतस्य पंथाः लोके. In this world, that is the path which is the path of good deeds. And what happens by following that path, we will see in the next kandika. So to describe you a little bit more, yani apashyans tani, these karmas were seen by the kavis and told to the others that these are the karmas which are given in the Vedas. Now Vedas are mentioned as Treta. Why Treta? Very often the Vedas are not mentioned as four but as three. So those are the Rig, Yaju and Sam. So all the verses which are there in a particular meter, though everything in all mantras in the Vedas are in some meter or the other, some chand or the other, but there are some chandas which are very long and elaborate, and they don't have a poetic interval in them. So the ones which have a poetic interval are called Rigved, Richa, and those are clubbed together as Rig. And then you have the prose format, which is typically you will see in Yajurveda, long texts are there. So those are called Yaju. And then you have those which have to be sung. So those you hold your breath and sing in a longer tone. Those are all clubbed together as Sama. And most of the mantras in Sama are to be sung. And to my knowledge, no other Veda has any mantras which are to be sung. So the ones in Atharva Veda also can be distributed between Rik and Yaju in that way. So that is how the Vedas are sometimes split not into four but into three. The Samhita is the same. Don't get confused that there's something else. They are the four Samhitas, and but they are looked at differently. So then it is called Treta. So Angira is telling us that you please follow the karmas which are told by the Vedas in the mantras. They are the ones which tell you how to lead your life, and they will ensure that you follow the path of goodness and not and stay away from sins. Okay. Any question is there? Okay.
Acharatha is Madhyama Purusha, but Satyakamaha iti बहुवचने प्रथमपुरुषे स्थापितमस्ति. Tvam achara, parantu Satyakamaha. I mean, little bit mismatched.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That is true. That is in plural. That is correct. Unless it has been given as a plural only by the commentators only, unless there is no halant after that, no visarg, and Satyakaman has become Satyakama.
That's what Rajan Raja. Hey
Yeah,
Rajan. So, but
yeah.
that is, but it should have been if it was Sambodhana.
It
Okay,
should
you
be
can still at
Kaman.
least take Prathama Vibhakti Ekavachana.
Yeah. As far as I know, it is plural only. You are right that acharata should have been also in uh, plural.
But right now, Madhyama Purusha plural only it is.
Sorry,
Acharata.
you are not audible. Come closer.
Acharata is the Madhyama Purusha Bahuvachanam, no?
No.
Dvitiya. Madhyama Purusha.
Oh, acha, lat lakar. Anuj, she is also right. You can take it as the lat lakar rather
Gacha
than
Gachatham Gachatha. Correct, she's right. Bahuvachana.
Bahuvachanam.
So just lat lakar you take and not ling. Okay.
Ma'am, I would like to know what is meant by Sukrit here.
Sukrita, good deed.
Sukratasya loke.
Not Sukritasya loke, actually it is loke Sukritasya pantha. Pantha firstly is singular. So in this world, loke in this world, Sukritasya pantha, the path of good deeds.
Okay.
That is defined by the Vedas, so you must follow it diligently.
Okay.
You must come to know it. So to come to know it, you should be desirous of that knowledge. So that is why Satyakama, and then you should follow it. Acharatha. Okay, next one. Yada lela yate hi archihi. Please repeat.
Yada Leelayate Hyarchihi.
Rishi.
Samidhe havya vahane.
Samidhe
Samidhe
Havyavahane.
Havyavahane.
Tadajya bhaga vantarena.
Tadajya Bhagavantarena.
Ahutih pratipadayet.
Ahutihi Pratipadayet.
Padayet.
Shraddhaya Ahutam. Is one more is there?
No, I don't have that.
Oh, okay. It's there in the PDF you shared.
Samidhi.
This one ends here only. So, yada lelayate hi archihi, samidde havyavahane. So now this has started talking. First, Kandika, we saw he has said, take the karmas as described in the Vedas. So the most important karma, which is mentioned in the Vedas, is that of performing Agnihotra. And that is a non-trivial karma. Nobody will think, nobody in their right senses will think that putting something in the fire and burning it will be of any value. It is more destructive than constructive. So why should you put good things in the fire and burn them? But the Vedas tell you what to put in the fire in order to destroy the toxins which you yourself have created through the process of living. One of them being carbon dioxide, which you consume. So, okay, the Agnihotra does not produce oxygen, but I'm just telling you carbon dioxide as one of the toxins which you produce. So now Angira starts describing that karma of Agnihotra. So he says that this Havya Vahana is Agni, fire. Why is it called Havya Vahana? Because the Havis which you put in that Agni, it takes them to the natural forces of your air and water, which becomes the clouds and then falls as rain. All these natural forces receive the Havi which you have put in the Agni through the means of the fire. The fire destroys their connections, splits them into smaller objects, also gives them energy in order to move in the form of vapor and in the form of their original uh, small molecules. So it is called Havya Vahana. So in the Havya Vahana Samidhe, which is burning well, which has been lit well, some well, Idha is the same as Indhan, so which has in a well lit fire, when Yada Archihi, Archi is flame. So when the flames start lelayate, in Hindi we say laplapana. In English also lap. So when the flames start lapping in the Havan Kund, when that means they have now they are now well lit. Then tada ajya bhago antarena. When now your fire is well lit in the Havan Kund, then between the two Ajya Bhagas, these Ajya Bhagas are two ahutis which are ahutis of ghee, and that is why Ajya is ghee. So one is given on the north side. This is the initial havis which are given. So one is given on the north side, and one is that is for Indra, no, for Agni, and the one is given on the south, which is for Soma. So these are called Ajya Bhaga havis, ahutis. So between those two ahutis, you put the remaining havi, the ahutis subsequently. Pratipadayet, put. Pratipadayet is now in link.
Oh, this is little bit almost like a Brahmana Vakya, how to conduct the fire sacrifice.
Yeah, correct. So, but you can see it is given in brief. It is not giving a full detail of how exactly to go about it, because it did not describe the Ajya Bhaga Ahuti. It is just telling you in a way that this is the karma you need to perform, and the Ajya Bhaga Ahutis to come first, and the fire actually needs to be well lit, and then only you should put the Ahutis in it.
The surprising take here is that everybody says that the Vedantic or the Upanishads don't go into Karma Kanda, but this is a Karma Kanda Vakya completely.
Yeah, so that is why, Anuj, you should always look upon these statements which are made by people. They always want to split things, but things are not split so easily in our text. So whenever they are saying as if, there is a line drawn over there and no karma kanda will be there, even in Kathopanishad, I think we came across little bit of karma kanda. Yes, these Upanishads have been picked out of Brahmanas and the Aranyakas as being the more spiritual ones, which have less karma kanda in them, almost zero karma kanda in them. But they are actually very often parts of Brahmanas and Aranyakas themselves. They are actually chapters within that.
Yeah, I agree with you. We should, division is only helps so far. We should still look at a
Yeah,
unified
exactly,
concept.
exactly. It is like when we study the body, we split it up into the respiratory system and the alimentary system and the neural system. These are for your help. They're just to help you because you cannot handle so much information together. You split it up and then look at it little by little. But otherwise, it is all connected. There is
I
no.
also think here the key things for me, the key takeaway is oblations, which is and with full faith. Does that sentence, because I am actually looking at the PDF version, and
Faith is not mentioned here. It is
okay,
not mentioned. You can say it is implied in
No,
the
no,
sense
I think
Amira is
she meant to
telling
say
you.
Shraddha. Shraddha is
Shraddha,
applicable. Yeah.
Shraddha, correct.
So,
Whatever is done with Shraddha is the most important, message.
so Angira is not saying that per se. That is what I am trying to tell you. That there is no Shraddha which he has mentioned here. But the fact that he has said that you need to perform
Perform.
this yajna is an indication that it is something which he is recommending, he is prescribing that you should perform. It is part of the sukrita which you have to do.
Uh, Ma'am,
Hmm.
in connection with the first verse that we have studied, here they have said that mantras are referred in the Vedas, basically Treta. So in that connection, there can be a metaphor because Vedas are generally conveys dharmic action as a yajna. So can we take a metaphor that when you do a yajna, that is also a dharmic karma, which gets into some kind of a movement. So don't stop there, just put in more efforts and then continue to do it.
No, I don't think there is a metaphor like that over here. So,
Like,
firstly, I would like to clarify one thing to you that yajna by itself does not necessarily mean only Agnihotra
hmm,
in the Vedas. So, in the Vedas, all important karmas are mentioned called yajna only.
yeah.
Then we have called some of the Agnihotras as yajnas. Okay, so
Hmm,
yajna is a far larger word, and Agnihotra out of that in which you put things in the Agni. That Agnihotra part is a very small part, a very important part of those karmas, but a very small part. And
hmm.
here, no metaphor is there. You will see as we continue the next Kandika itself, this question will be clarified. Okay. Yasyagnihotram
Tasya
Yasyagnihotam
Agnihotram
adarsham aparnamasam
adarsham
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 apaurnamasam
Apurnamasam
apurnamaasam
achaturmasyam managrayanam
achaturmasyam managrayanam
Achaturmasyanam
atithi varjitam cha
atithivarjitam
Ativarjitam
cha
Ativarjitam
cha
ahutam aveshvadevam
ahutam
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 avaishvadeham
avaishvadeham
Avaishvadeyam
avidhinahutam
avidinahutam
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 asaptamanstasya lokan hinasti.
asaptamanstasya
Asaptamanstasya
lokan
lokani
hinasti.
hinasti.
So now Angira mentions the various Agnihotras which should be performed. So he says, Yasya Agnihotram. The person whose Agnihotra does not consist of Adarsham. So you have a Darsheshti which is there in which which is performed on Amavas. So on the no moon night, this Darsheshti is performed. Then a Purnamasam. Purnima, on Purnima, you perform another yajna which is called a Purnamasa or Purnamaseshti. Then a Chaturmasyam. Chaturmasya is a yajna which is performed for 4 months continuously. Then Anagrayanam. This Agrayana is a yajna which is done for the harvest. When the new harvest comes, then you perform a yajna called Agrayanam. And Atithi Varjitam. So there is a Atithi yajna which is there, in which here it is implying that in the yajna itself, the Atithi should also be present in the Agnihotra which you do. But I will tell you a larger meaning of Atithi, which is Atithi Yajna, which is also there. Then Ahutam, an Agnihotra in which Ahuti itself is not given. You know, I have seen some yajnas in which they make a ball of the Havan Samagri and the ghee. They put it up and they light the samida, the firewood. Once the fire is burning, they just put the whole ball into it. So there is no ahuti at all. So that you can call maybe ahutam. Avaishvadevam, in which animals are not given something. This is again a broader yajna which is there. These come under Pancha Mahayajna, which I will just explain to you. But here, this is being talked about in terms of the Agnihotra. So, a Vaishwadevam, where animals are not given something, and a Vidhinahutam, where the ahutis are given not in the correct order, not in the correct vidhi. If the Agnihotra is like this, that either it is not performed or is not performed correctly, then in that case, the person's lokas for the next 7 lokas are destroyed. Which what it means is that loka here has to be understood as bodies. So the next 7 bodies which the person will inhabit, those all his punya karma which had to come along with those bodies and give him some bhoga, all that bhoga will be destroyed. The body itself will not be destroyed, but the good things which you were to experience in that body, a lot of it will be destroyed. Okay, so just running back, we will see that what it is saying is that Agnihotra is very important and is a mandatory thing for a person if they want to really achieve Swarga. And here I want to explain this Atiti and Vaishwadeva to you. So there are Panch Mahayajna which have been prescribed for all people, all Grihastis. Actually, even this Agnihotra is mainly for Grihastis and Vanaprasthis. I'm not sure if Vanaprasthis have to perform all these Chaturmasya and all. As far as I know, they have to perform all yajnas well. But definitely Grihastis are supposed to perform. So, as part of the Grihastha ashram, there are Pancha Mahayajnas, big important deeds which a Grihasthi has to perform. So the first one is called Brahma Yajna, which involves Swadhyaya, teaching and learning. So learning yourself and then teaching others, that is part of Grihasthi's duties. Swadhyaya is very important. Throughout life, the Grihasthi is supposed to continue to keep studying, not studying anything, but particularly related to moksha granthas. Those granthas which take you towards Brahma, towards God. Those are the things which you have to necessarily spend time on every day, little bit at least. That is part of the Grihasthi's duties. That is called Brahma Yajna. Then next is Deva Yajna. Deva Yajna, Deva, as I've told you, most of the time Deva means nature, natural forces. So here also Deva means natural forces, and Agnihotra is what is implied by Deva Yajna. So Deva Yajna is equal to Agnihotra because uh, again you offer all these ahutis which finally reach nature. So that is why that is called Deva Yajna. And the next Panchama Yajna is Pitra Yajna, in which you have to take care of your elders, and also you have to you have a debt with them called Pitrin, because they created you. So they produced you, took care of you, and brought you up, educated you. So that is the Pitra Rin, which you have to repay by producing your own children. So, it was understood in that time itself that people will get away by not having children. So, it was laid down that you have to have children, and you have to bring them up. And it is a big deed. And so, it has been put in as a yajna itself, one of the duties of the householder. And also taking care of the elders, and that has become got misdirected towards this shraddha and related activities which are performed after death, which is not correct, which is not Vedic. Okay, then Panchayajna. So then there is Nriyajna or Vaishwadeva, Bali Vaishwadeva Yajna it is called, which refers to giving something to the other creatures of who are there around you. Okay, so taking care of a pet is not really included in this. Typically, in those early days, you used to have that chula, the firewood stove, and so you left a little bit of the food which was cooked next to the stove, and the ants and the bugs and various things would come and eat it. So that was your Bali Vaishwadeva Yajna. So like that only, some things you should leave for the lowly creatures, birds and such kind of um, even the stray dogs, etc. Some food we should, what we cook we should share with them. That is called Bali Vaishwadeva Yajna. Then next is this Atiti Deva, Atiti Yajna or Nri Yajna. Nri is for Nara. So for the human beings. Now, Atiti has been taken as a guest. Any guest is Atiti Devo Bhava, is included in any guest who comes to your house. But actually, what is meant is Atithi, the one who comes uncalled for at any given time. And those were the learned people, the sages who used to roam around. They used to go to householders' houses and give them upadesh. And so they could land up at any time. And that is why they were called atithi. And so you were supposed to take care of them, do satkar, give them respect, etc., give food, clothing, whatever they needed, a place to stay. That was called Atithi Yajna. So these are the 5 duties of the householder.
Here it is written, no, Paurnamasam Chaturmasyam. So normally, Chaturmasyam is not conducted by the Grahastha. Only the sannyasi, they follow this Chaturmasam. And
That
they
is
stay.
Chaturmasya, that one which I don't know if it is sannyasis, but the probably the vanaprasis. That time they cannot roam around.
No, they stay in one place. They
are
don't
supposed
roam
to stay.
around. Just
Yeah,
go
yeah.
one and stay, because the season is also rainy season at
Yes,
that
yes.
time.
So, but actually, the yajna is to be performed by grihasthis. I don't know if those guys are supposed to be performing that yajna too, but grihasthis have to perform. Okay.
I think some are individual responsibility and some are community level, I guess.
No, these ones which are given over here are actually individual. You might decide to do a community level if you like. See, the thing is that we have forgotten how to perform these yajnas well. No, now nobody knows how these are performed. Those who are telling you how to perform, they are also just whatever tradition has come down, and that tradition has got very, very diluted. So we don't know these things very well now. So you
Actually, I
take
think
all this.
grihasthis used to perform yajnas every day.
Yeah, that is there anyway. So
Mm.
that is your Sandhya. Okay, that is your Sandhya Agnihotra, which is morning and evening.
Mm.
Okay, that is a different one. Now, what Angira is telling you is also some bigger Agnihotras which are there. So you have bigger yajnas which are performed at the time of Amavasya, at the time of Purnima, during those 4 months of rain, and so on. So they have special names, and harvest time, and they are special yajnas. So the activities which are part of the yajna are also a little different.
And is it saying that if you don't perform it correctly, then you have, you have the whatever face the consequences? What happens if you don't perform it at all? Same consequences?
Same ahutam, no? Ahutam. That is why we are all in the soup here. Okay, let me introduce you to the next one, and we will cover it in greater detail next time. So now that Angita has covered Yajna and has told you about this Yada Lelayate Hyarchihi, those flames which are lapping around in the Havan Kund. So he describes now as just an auxiliary subject. What are the different flames which are there? Okay, so this is a very famous verse which is there, which describes 7 types of flames. And in fact, I have been recommending to people, including Anuj, to see that and B. Mahadevan of IIT, this IMB also, he first mentioned it himself, uh, that we should do a study on this and find out the scientific validity of this and scientific importance of these. Okay, so in some detail, Angira has mentioned 7 types of flames. Kali Karali cha
Kali
Kali
Karali
Karali
cha
cha
Manojava cha
Manojava
Manojava
cha
Sulohitaya
Sulohitaya
cha Sudhumravarna
cha Sudhumravarna
Varna
Sphulingini
Sphulingini
Vishwaruchi cha Devi
Vishwaruchi cha Devi
Lelayamana iti
Lelayamana iti
Saptajihvaha.
Saptajihvaha.
Saptajiva, that is the 7 tongues. Of what? Of fire. Kali, that which is black or dark. I think it is more dark, and it is the very dark blue flame that you have. Then Karali. Karali means bhankar, terrifying. So that which is difficult to endure. Swami Dayananda said, for Swami Dayanand followers, you can look at Rigved 113.3, Mandal 1, 13वां सूक्त, 3रा मंत्र. So Karali, that which is difficult to endure or which is bhankar. Manojava, which is as fast as the mind. It moves very quickly. Suloita, which is of a beautiful red color. Sudhumravarna, which is of a beautiful smoky color. Spulingini. Spuling is the chingari, the small sparks which fly out of the fire. So the flame which has these sparks in it is called Spulingini. Vishwaruchi, that which lights up, which is lighted up fully, lighted up on all sides. That is called Vishwaruchi. There is a Probably a part made here of Vishwarupi. That means it has all these forms. But I think Vishwaruchi is the correct word here. So these are the 7 flames of the fire. So just looking back, Angira has told us today that the Vedas describe the karmas. Chief among those karmas is performing Agnihotras. And then he has described some of the Agnihotras which a Grihastha should perform. And he has now described the flames of the Agnihotra.
Why the word Devi is used here? Jihva parallel? No.
Yeah. So that is what in the ancient text, no, you should not read things as very, very focused into one meaning. Dev means some god, Devi means some goddess. No, it doesn't mean that. Anything with divine qualities was called a Devi or a Deva. So that is why all natural forces were called Deva. And this here you are reading yourself that the flame of the fire is being called Devi. So that doesn't mean that you start doing puja of that flame. That is not the implication at all. It only means that this is that flame is a something which has a special force in it, and that is why it is divine. Divine also should not be understood as something mystical and which has some mystic powers which cannot be explained. It is just something which has special powers which you will not find elsewhere. So what you find in the flame of a fire is not available in any other thing in nature. It is only available in that flame of the fire. That is why it is divine.
Okay, because I was just glancing a little ahead here. Here they have taken a different level interpretation rather than just mere names of fire. This is denoting feminine Shakti forms like that.
Yeah. So this is how, like I have shown you even in the Shanti part, no, that you can see the Puranic mithya coming out of it. Like that, from everything you can derive these stories, and you can misinterpret. Always
Okay, but
possible.
I know I do see some there's an attempt to see rather than just name the seven qualities of a flame or 7 types of flames, maybe something more is intended. They're looking for it, perhaps, so we can excuse them.
But why has he described this suddenly over here?
So, as we have seen in other texts, no, while describing one subject, if there is something extra which he would like you to know, he will just put it. He'll take a detour over there, and since he is describing Agnihotra to you, he has told you that there are these 7 types of flames as well, which it is good to know.
Maybe Bhagini, what he's saying, don't put an apology of a fire, make it roaring like this.
And,
Yeah, it has to be a good fire. I mean, maybe not be roaring, it's not large, but it has to be well lit.
and
And
identify all the 7 there.
I don't know if you can, it's necessary to have all the 7 there. He has also not said that all 7 should be present.
No, a good Agnihotra, all these qualities are clearly seen one by one.
Actually, probably this Dhumravana flame which is there, that shows incomplete combustion. So that is why I'm little hesitant in going so
No,
far.
not that way.
You are ready
Sudhumravarna,
to.
don't take it as the smoke because the fire has parts where one part, the bottom part is Sudhumra. So that's also fine.
Some people also say that the different twigs that they use for the fire from identified different trees, or they burn very differently and give out flames that are different.
They have different compounds in it. Like you have palash and you have amra, am ki lakdi, palash, and those are the ones which are typically used for Agnihotra. So they have different compounds in it, which are themselves given out. So that is why for different seasons, actually, you should be different using different types of samhita, and that has also been given. So it was a whole science of Agnihotra. And the various ahutis which you were to give also varied with the season. It was not the same thing which you put in. And in my view, this words actually should be giving all flames, not only those which are produced by wood, but those which are produced by gas. Your cooking gas, the gas which burns in a petroleum plant, which goes but, but. I don't know if you guys have ever visited. Since I am a chemical engineer, I have seen those things. That is actually a very terrifying kind of a fire, because it just makes a horrible sound. So I think all those are included here. It is not just the Agnikund fire which is mentioned here. All types of fire, I think, can be classified this way. And that is why I have been suggesting that people should do research on this and see the importance of each of these. Okay, let us do a Shanti Bhat. ॐ या ते रुद्र शिवा तनूर्
ॐ या ते रुद्र शिवा तनु
अघोरा पापकाशिनी
अघोरा पापकाशिनी
दयानस्तन्वा शन्तमया
तयानस्तन्वा शन्तमया
गिरिशन्ताभिचाकशीः
गिरिशन्ताभिचाकशीः
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Thank you.
धन्यवादः वर्य
नमस्ते